to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back. It is very early on a Sunday morning, and here I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And it's good to be back. It's good to be back doing the podcast. It means another week has passed, and that means it is 1 week closer to good spring-like weather. And this podcast is part gun podcast, and it's part weather forecast. So I'm pretty excited this week. We're supposed to see some late springtime weather. We're supposed to have a couple days where we are close to 80 degrees, which I'm really looking forward to. And let's be honest with you now, I'm not super busy this time of year. I mean, I got some set classes that are going. Some of my private stuff is really hard to schedule right now because I will get them scheduled and then we'll have 45 mile an hour winds. And so then they get rescheduled again. And I totally get that. If you're a new shooter, you don't want to be out in that stuff. You want to be able to concentrate on what you're doing. And so I've, besides my normally scheduled academy classes and stuff like that are in the evenings, I've been pretty free during the days. And I'm kind of looking forward to that this week because it is spring break. My kiddo is going to be around. I'll get to spend some time with him, maybe go fishing a little bit. And like I said, with a couple of days hitting almost 80 degrees, man, this is wow. I'm going to be able to take him out on the range this week. Spring break is another one of those weeks, even though it's nicer out this week, it's another one of those times where people are busy with their kids. Their kids aren't in school. Obviously, they're at home. And so they are unavailable to get out and do participate in a bunch of classes. So hopefully I can get him out, take him fishing, spend some quality time on the range. I know he spent some time over the last couple weeks. I dug out the Mantis X, and I put it on the end of the Canic, the TTI Combat, and we put a smaller grip on it for him, which enables him to not 100% reach the trigger perfectly, but better than he was before because it makes that grip, turns that grip a little smaller. So he's been doing a bunch of dry fire on it, and I just need to take his little fingers and I need to stretch another. He only needs another quarter inch. He still has to break his grip a little bit to really reach that trigger like he should and get that straight back, good straight back press on that thing. So I'm just, I don't know, I got to feed him more or something. He's got to grow. He's got to hurry up and grow. But he enjoys shooting and he's putting in the time and doing the dry fire and stuff. So that's a good thing. That Mantis X, I tell you, if you got a kiddo and you want them to dry fire, I mean, dry firing is great alone and you can do that without this Mantis. But the Mantis, I've talked about it before. If you don't know what it is, it connects to an app on your phone. And so we put it on his phone that he has. And it turns it into kind of a game for him. This is a gaming world for these kids nowadays. They're into gaming. It's a computer, a tablet, an iPad world out there, and that's what they're into. And so for him, or the kids to be able to look at something on a screen, he enjoys doing the dry fire more because there's kind of that instant feedback, right? He can see it as well, but he can also look at his phone, right? And it'll let him know where he would have hit on the target. It'll score his trigger press, in percentages. So he kind of likes that. And then I think it encourages him to actually dry fire more than he normally would. So that's just, and those things are good for anyone who picks it up and wants to use it. So I encourage that, if regular dry fire is just kind of boring for you, maybe check out some kind of electronic aid, a Mantis X or something like that will help. And this podcast is not a sponsored podcast by any means, so I'm not getting any kickback. I'm just telling you what works for me, what I see, and what I like. So just take that with a grain of salt. You got to find out what works for you and what you like. I was thinking, sorry, still, it's I'm not even kidding, dude. It's 4:00 in the morning. So If you, I was sitting here thinking, what am I going to talk about on today's podcast? And I got a handful of things that we'll touch on. I don't really have a main topic per se, but like always, we got to talk about the classes that have been taking place out here. So we had the men's group came out and did their first shoot for the men's academy on Wednesday evening, and then I had the women's advanced group come out on Thursday evening, and they did their shooting. And it was touch and go with the weather a little bit. It was a little chilly, a little windy, but they all showed up, and they got those first rounds of the season downrange. And I tell you what, in that men's group, I have got, they're all good shooters, but I got one guy, and if he's listening to this podcast, he'll know who he is. I got one guy who just shows up. I mean, he's taken a class with me before, and he was pretty good then as well. But he showed up, and I don't know how many rounds he shot, 50, 100 rounds, 150 rounds. I'm not sure, but I'm not kidding. He put them all through a hole the size of a freaking quarter. He had perfectly round quarter-sized holes. He had I want to say 3 or 4 of them on his target. I mean, just sinking them right through the holes. I was like, whoa, okay, well, I can work with that. But man, that's super impressive. Super impressive. You never know who you're going to get in these groups. Some people are brand new to shooting. Some people can do pretty good, and some people will surprise you. And surprise he did. So actually, I'm not even surprised. I'm more like impressed. Like he's a good shooter. So I've had a lot of guys in that class that are repeat customers. They've taken it in the past. They're taking it again. I got there's a couple guys that are brother-in-laws, and they brought their son. One guy brought his son to join him this year, which that's kind of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this class goes and working with all these guys the rest of the year. Now the women's advanced group, all these ladies have taken the class from me in the past. I've got some that have this will be their second time taking the class from me, and I got some who have been coming for I want to say 4 or 5 years, and they just come because they like to shoot and they have a good time. So I'm looking forward to having all those ladies back as well. Now, yesterday was Saturday, and I had the elite men's group show up. Now, of course, when they show up at 8 o'clock in the morning. We usually go from 8 to 10, and it's windy, and it's cold, and it's raining sideways. And honestly, they don't really care. So they showed up. One of these days, we're going to get a good day, a nice warm day. I set up a course for them. If you want to poke around the Patriot Defense Facebook page, I put up a map of the course and I always sketch out the courses before I do them, kind of just draw them out on paper. So I sketched that out, and we had some fun with it. They ran through that. It was some distance stuff, and some stuff where they were shooting the little targets like 25 yards, one-handed, two-handed, strong hand, weak hand, that kind of thing. So we did a lot of that. They had to pack some weight around, and I let them run through that 2 or 3 times, and then I let them just kind of it was like a free-for-all at that point. It was like open range. We would run those, and they could run them however they wanted, as long as they kept it safe. And we had a lot of interesting stuff. We had one of the guys, Magnum, he tucked one of his arms. He ran it one-handed, the entire thing. So he tucked one of his hands and arms into his hoodie, and he reloaded one-handed and everything. It was pretty impressive. It was kind of fun to watch. We had some guys really pick up on the physicality aspect of it, where they were hauling the sandbag all over the place. One guy picked it up, threw the sandbag over his shoulder, and was shooting one-handed with it over his shoulder and doing reloads on top of that. Thank you, Magnum, for setting the bar on that. So that was fun to watch, and that's what this class is for, to perfect more different type of scenarios that they may or may not encounter out and about in the world, where they might have to use their firearm, and to make them, these guys are good shooters, and I always worry about safety, but I watch for it all the time. But I don't really have to. I mean, they know what they're doing, and so it's kind of nice. I just set up everything, give them the opportunity and some direction on what we are doing today, and then they just do it. And then They do it a few times and they adapt to it and they change it and they make it harder and they challenge themselves, and then they just kind of start feeding off of each other, and that's what kind of gets that whole competition going. So it was a fun morning. It was cold and it was really windy, but it was lots and lots of fun. Now you can see any videos and stuff from the class on social media. One of the drills one of the guys came up with was they wanted to go back and they wanted to run 50 yards. And this is a drill that someone on YouTube does, and I don't know who it is. I don't know that I really care, but it is on YouTube. But they wanted to try it, so they run. They're supposed to sprint 50 yards, and when they sprint 50 yards, stop, draw their gun from concealment, and put one round on a 6-inch circle that's like 25 yards away, which is a little trickier than what you think. Out of the 5 guys that were there, we had 2 that got it first try. Ping, run, boom, ping. It was probably perfect. It's pretty impressive to watch. Look, I wanted to join in. But so good day, good class, good group of guys. I look forward to them coming back. Now I'm thinking here, what else, Todd? What else are you going to talk about? Well, I guess we'll revisit this. I'm still on the hunt, still on the search for all my guns. They have officially been released. As far as I can tell, the guns that I want, nobody can find them. I'm on want lists and I'm on wish lists, and I've got numerous stores out looking for the firearms that Todd wants to purchase. I can't, and nobody could find them yet. But man, they're out there. They're out there somewhere. I can't even find them online. There's none of them out on my online sites, gun sites. Nothing. I mean, you can find them, but they still say like not available, or they still say out of stock. Right? I think these guns have a SKU now, but they're just out of stock. And we'll run down the quick list of what it is. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on a Marlin Dark Series. I call it the tactical lever action. I want to get the one on 357. I want to get my hands on an HK CC9. I'm looking forward to that one. Kind of the weird redheaded stepchild of the group is the Keltec, that is it the PF57 or PR57? I want to get my hands on that. I want to check that out because I think I might purchase one of those for running, and then I'm considering a suppressor, so I'm looking into that as well. And I'm considering getting Springfield Armory has their new. I got both the old ones, but Springfield Armory has their on their AR platform. They have what they call their St. Victor. I've got that in 5.56. I've got it in 9mm, their PCC, and then they also have a 9mm PCC AR pistol, which is essentially just shorter barrel, stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to getting one of those as well. I need to be able to find the things, and then I honestly just need a lot more money. I've even found another 2011 that I am interested in, and a gentleman had one in class, and it's kind of more of an affordable 2011, and I'm kind of looking at this. Where is this thing here? It is by Fusion, the XP Pro Fusion. Is what it is, and it's a 2011 double stack 9mm. Gentleman had one of those, and he brought it to the class yesterday, the elite group, and I put some rounds through it. I want to tell you, I closed my eyes. It feels pretty, close my eyes, but you're holding it, you're shooting it. It feels really good. It ran really good. Granted, I only ran, like one, 17 round mag through it, but it's cool because it actually takes Glock mags, just like my Platypus. And I will always love the Platypus, but this is an affordable one. It's right around $1,000, and I'm kind of super interested in it, to be 100% honest with you. It felt real good when I shot it. It seemed to function well, so that is back up on the page, just like I needed to add another one to my list. But it is on there regardless, so we'll see. We'll see what I end up with at the end of the summer, right? Am I going to find these all? Am I going to have money when I do find them? Because I had money when I started looking. Now I have even less money. So I don't know. It's kind of just one of those things. So having an interesting conversation. I want to ask the listeners here, not that you can answer to where I can, hear you, but do any of you have a gun that you would consider kind of the cheat code for shooting? And it could be anything. It could be just something you shoot really, really, really well. Something that works for you. And this might be different for all of us. It may be something extra special and super spendy and it's super nice and it works for you. Maybe something like even just a Glock or something, maybe some kind of Smith & Wesson or something like that. That is something you have shot a lot and it just works for you. My gun that is in my mind right now that I have that is the cheat code is going to be the platypus. And it's interesting because I feel like I can pick that gun up and, I try to do all the fundamentals right. I mean, this is what I teach, right? I try to do everything right when I'm shooting. But I feel like I can pick that gun up and no matter what I do, I just hit with it. It just happens. I can stack shots in the bullseye as quickly as I want to, is what it feels like with this gun, without even trying. Like, it doesn't matter what I do. I feel like I could jerk the piss out of that trigger and it would still hit in the bullseye. Like, I pick it up and there's no question in my mind that I'm not going to pull a shot. It's going right exactly where it wants to go. And it feels good. Like that feels like that's my gun, right? That's super interesting to me. And I was speaking to Magnum on the phone, and he's got a gun that's like that. His happens to be one of his Wilson Combats. He's like, I don't know which one it is exactly that he has. He's got a number of them, but he's like, I picked that gun up, and it's like easy. Like I don't have to try. It's perfect. It just works. It hits where the bullet goes where I want it to go, regardless of what I do. That's the feeling that he gets. It's the same feeling I get with the platypus. Do you have a gun like that? You just pick it up and make it work, And I'm going to put words out there. He hasn't been on the podcast in a while. We got the old Cajun Cowboy. He would probably be one of his Canics. He just picks it up and it's perfect. He doesn't worry about what he does because the bullet just goes where it wants to go. So we're all going to have a firearm out there, hopefully, that works that way for us. I know, just a gun that you pick up that just feels effortless. And you just know it's going to work. You know you're not going to have to worry about it. You just know you're going to hit with it, right? It seems like it's simple. It's easy. So do you have a gun like that? And I mean, what is that? I don't know. I know there's people like, oh, Todd, that's my Glock. And that's fine. If a Glock works for you, a Glock works for you. That is 100% okay with me. It's not my gun of choice. But if it works, it works. So something in the news that has taken place over the last week is this whole thing about suppressors. I don't know if you've caught on this whole thing about suppressors, where they believe it's Pam Bondi or the I don't know, DOJ, something else. They have declared, so they have two rulings. They came out and they came out against suppressors, saying that they weren't protected by the Second Amendment. And then there was this outrage. There was this outrage, and people are like, "Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean that's wrong? You guys are dumb. You guys are stupid." And so now they're revisiting it. So I'm looking up here for a minute. I screenshotted an article. So the next article I saw was, oh, come on. DOJ to reconsider suppressor classification after public criticism. So they're going to reconsider it after public criticism. So we have Pam Bondi, right? she's the one that's in charge of this. She's in charge of doing this. She's supposed to go in and be looking at all the rulings and all the rulings. They can't really rule, but look at all these things through the ATF and look at all these laws and make sure they were good for us and see if there was any problems. We know the ATF is crooked. We know a bunch of these organizations are crooked. We know Pam Bondi is crooked. She's, as far as I'm concerned, she's not for firearms. And she was put in place to do what she did. Now, she came out, the DOJ came out and said, nope, they are not protected under the Second Amendment, right? She had a hand in that. That group of people had a hand in that. That's their first ruling. That's their first thing that they came out with. And now they decided to go back and revisit it after public outrage or public criticism, right? That's not the way that works. That's not the way that should work, right? Their true colors showed, and now because we're irritated, they're going to change, right? This shows kind of who is in charge, and I state this all the time. It's not a bash Trump a podcast today, because that's not really, I'm not trying to do that, because he's done a lot of good stuff that I agree with. He's gone in there, he's found out we're wasting money, he's getting rid of people, he's dismantled the Department of Education. I mean, I'm for that. Go for it, do it, get rid of it, cut that waste out, dude. And he's doing a great job at that, 100% a great job at it. I still don't like the guy, but I like what he's doing when it comes to that stuff. But you can't tell me that you can't convince me. You can tell me all you want, but you can't convince me that he is truly for the Second Amendment, that he is truly for gun owners in this country. I just don't think he is. Now, he'll say that he is. He'll say all the right phrases. He'll say all the right keywords. He'll do all this stuff because he wanted the vote of the gun owners, right? He says what he needs to say to get into the positions that he needs to get into. But I honestly don't think, if he was for gun owners, if he was for the Second Amendment and all the stuff, I don't care what he says, he wouldn't have grabbed Pam Bondi and made her Attorney General and then put her in charge of going through everything from the ATF. She was supposed to come up with her findings in the ATF, going through all their rulings and stuff like that to see if they were legit, to see if they were good. He put her in charge. We heard nothing. And I don't know what the time limit was, but she had a time limit she had to get back to him by. And that time limit came and went. And then he went ahead and didn't say anything and went ahead and extended it again for her. So this should be cut and dry. This should be really easy. This should be as easy as going in and saying you're wasting money over here and this is illegal over here. I mean, this should be pretty easy. But if you look at her, that's old red flag Pam Bondi. I mean, that's what that is, right? And they both think the same things. They both think the same things on red flag laws. That's a fact. That is documented. And they both, for example, they both were part of the bump stock ban. Like, they fall in lockstep with each other when it comes to pass things on the Second Amendment. I don't expect her to do us any favors. I don't expect President Trump, to do the Second Amendment any favors. Now, granted, he will. I'll give you all this. He's in there, and he will hopefully not make it any worse for us, right? But I don't think he's going to jump in there and change a bunch of stuff. I just really don't. I don't think he's going to make it any better for us. Now, you can twist that and you can say, well, he is making it better for us by not making it any worse. Whatever. Live in your little la-la land, and that's how your delusional mind sees that. That is fine, but it was supposed to get in there and make changes. And he hasn't done that yet. Everyone wanted to, I mean, I wasn't all for it, but everyone, I had some warnings that came with it, but everyone wanted the national reciprocity. Have you heard anything about that? Nope. The last thing I heard about national reciprocity was when Don Jr.'s post popped up from like 4 years earlier, popped up toward the end of the election to kind of remind gun owners that, well, guess what? Don Jr. said that, right? It wasn't Donald Trump, right? Don Jr. is not president. And Trump is arrogant enough, he's going to do what he wants. So I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see that even coming. There's suppressor bills right now. There's suppressor bills right now, out and about, and I don't see that happening either. Because guess what? Besides them just being announced, have you heard anything about them? Nope, I have not. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith that anything is going to change. It's going to stay the same, which is better than nothing. But I don't have a lot of hope that things are going to change. He's going to get in there and make all these changes. I mean, the fact that he's got control of everything, and the fact that the ATF is still currently standing as an organization and hasn't been just torn apart and made to go, made to disappear, tells me that, because he could very easily do that. He could go in there and tear it apart. I don't have the proof in front of me, but I think in the past he's probably said the ATF, whatever, they're making bad choices for the American gun owner, all this stuff. Well, why hasn't he gone in there and just disbanded that whole organization? Like, 'cause he could do that, right? He could do that, right? He put who do you put in there? That Kash Patel. He's like temporary the ATF guy now. Like, nothing has happened. And all these other offices that he's put temporary guys in charge of, they're temporary because they go in there, tear them apart, and destroy them and get rid of the entire organization. But you have not seen that happen yet with the ATF. I don't know. I'm just looking at what's out there and making my own assumptions. But it's super. Besides him saying Kash Patel's in the ATF, besides him saying Pam Bondi is going to go, Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to go and look at these things and get back to us, which she hasn't got back to us yet. In fact, she already missed her first deadline and had to have it extended. I pretty much think that's all you're going to hear. I don't think you're going to hear anything else. You're just not. And I wouldn't be surprised if in some situations it went the other way and we maybe lose some things. Will they be big, super important things? Probably not, but it's going to be something, right? I just don't think it's going to go the way you want as gun owners. But that's my thoughts. Well, it is closer to about 5 a.m. now, and I know most people are like, Todd, what? I'm gonna say I'm gonna wrap this up, and they're gonna, well, what are you doing at 5 a.m.? Well, I got crap to do. I gotta go. I gotta go get ready. I gotta go run, and it's some my time now. So I will. Those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts about everything, and it probably makes no sense to anyone. Kind of a not real well planned out podcast, but there you go. That's it. And I'll be back in a week. Again, if you want to share this podcast, if you like it. If you don't, I totally get that as well. But you're listening, and that's all that matters. If you want to share it on social media, I would appreciate it. If you got any questions or comments, you can text me at area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794 6223, and I look forward to hearing from you if you got anything to say, good or bad. I kind of talk negatively about Trump, so I figure everything I get's going to be bad now, but we'll see. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.